What up, YouTube? It's your girl Tony B. Back live, direct at you. Yeah. So I wanted to come on here because I was just driving, and I'm like, I really need to talk about generational curses that just came to me. And everyone says, that families can have generational curses and whatnot. And it's not really a curse. It's just passed down habits, passed down conditional thinking. And they do research, and now they're finding that genetics can be passed down to 20 generations, through 20 generations. So you got to think that's 20 generations of your parents, great grandparents. Like, it goes a long way. So you can get traits from your family members from hundreds of years ago. So it's not really a generational curse per se, but if the conditional thinking doesn't change, the habits will never change, and it'll be passed down and passed down and passed down. So I wanted to give y'all a little, background story about myself. I will be 34 in a couple of days, 7 days. I was adopted when I was a baby. My mother, couldn't take care of me, so she gave me to my father and his wife. So I didn't realize that I was adopted until I was around like 11 or 12, and my dad ended up telling me. So I found out, who my real mother was, and that my father wasn't my biological father. I was adopted basically into the family. My mother gave me to her cousin, whom was my dad, but not my biological father, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of things that I didn't know about myself. And they say that you take half of your father's traits, half of your mother's traits. So a lot of your ways, a lot of what you're thinking comes from that generation of your father, your mother, and so on. So you got not only 20 generations of your father's side, 20 generations of your mother's side, just a lot that comes when you're born and that your genetics deals with. So with that being said, there was a lot about myself I didn't know, because I don't know who my biological father is. I know who my mother is. We were estranged for a long time. I knew to, heal my generations on up or down, whatever you want to call it, my children and my children's children and their children. I had to heal myself, because when you heal the self, when you heal yourself, you heal generations. You get what I'm saying? When you change that conditional thinking, that mindset, you heal generations. So when I program or reprogrammed myself in my conditional thinking, I'm teaching my children to be more themselves. I'm teaching them to be free thinkers. I'm teaching them to be individuals and leaders. So to break the generational curse, you have to be the one to do that. If you think that your family has a generational curse, and that could be because, and this is, no shade to my mother, there was a lot that happened to her, my birth mother, when she was a child, and I had to learn to forgive and let go, because I cannot heal myself and heal my behaviors and habits if I do not do that, because I know that I probably got a lot from her, her side, half my mother. So in dealing with, relationships and people using me and me feeling real low and not really, loving myself, and just a lot of things that I had to heal. And, you don't know where these things come from until you learn about your parents. And some kids don't even ask their parents, like, how were you when you were my age? How were you when you were younger? What happened to you? You know, did you go through things? So these are things that you need to talk about with your children. If there's anything that you feel like you had to go through and that had to heal, you know that your mother went through it or your father went through it, and it's just something that's always been passed down through generations. And that's even with bad eating, health issues, all of that. You need to heal yourself. And when you start to heal yourself, you will heal generations. So I noticed, and you know, I am not as close to my mom as I, you know, would like to be, but it takes time. When you spend years of your life without your mother and you don't really have, like, you know, you don't really know what that relationship is like, you kind of don't know what to build off of, in a sense. Like, I've always seen, you know, people with their parents, their mothers, their fathers, and the relationship is, you know, everybody has different relationships with their parents and so forth. But mother and daughter relationships, you know, that's a unique thing. So it's one of those things where we're working on it. We're building. I am very busy. I'm trying to, you know, establish my life and, you know, everything for my children. But I would open her with open arms, or I should say I would welcome her with open arms. Sorry, I can't talk. And just, you know, love her and let her know that there's no hard feelings. I used to be very, very, very lost, because, you know, when you find out that you're adopted and this was later in life, I didn't learn this when I was younger. It kind of messes with you a little bit. Kind of makes you feel like, well, you know, why didn't my mom want me or my father want me? So, and then when you don't know both of your parents, that's a thing. My dad was amazing. He, you know, battled his demons, my adopted dad, but he was amazing. He was a loving person. And that's, you know, where I get some of my, you know, very compassionate, loving ways. And I'm sure I get a lot of my ways from my mother. My family has always told me that she has a really good heart. So I knew, in order to help heal her, even, because I don't want her to leave this life with, you know, unfinished business, or feeling like she didn't do a good enough job as a parent, or whatever the case may be. So in healing myself, I knew I would heal her, and that would change, you know, the timeline, because we can't alter time. Just think, if I was to just stay upset with her for the rest of my life and treat her mean, and, you know, that affects her in a way. So if I can do something to make her feel better, and then I will feel better about myself, and we could build that relationship, and then my children will see that, and so forth. So generational curses, yes, it's a thing. And I don't want to call it a curse. It's just a pass down, basically. It can be rectified. You can stop it at where you are. Even with my brothers, I know that they are affected by, you know, our mother's choices in a way. And so I would like to think, you know, in the way that I move, they see me and they say, hey, you know, I can let this go. I can move forward and just heal, because this is just one pit stop in our infinite lives. And we will always be connected in some way, shape, or form. So I feel like there's no reason to really continue to hold grudges against people, or, you know, hold on to that pain and hurt that may not even be yours. It may not even be yours. And even with, I got it three ways, because even with my dad, you know, I was adopted. He had his demons. He went through a lot. He struggled a lot. You know, he had a drug problem, and he was an alcoholic. And, you know, my family may not like me saying this about my father, but I spent way more time with him than anybody. So, you know, I know that there was a lot of things he was hurting from. There was a lot of passed down shit that he had to deal with. And it just goes on and on and on and on. So, you know, the route to healing generational curses, per se, is to heal yourself. Go within and make sure that you make things right with yourself. All that pain that I was feeling like my mother didn't want me, I tried to find that in relationships. And I got hurt a lot. And I tried to fill voids. And in doing so, I just didn't know who I was. And I didn't feel great about myself. And it took a lot of time for me to realize that I was just holding on to a lot of anger, a lot of pain. And once I started to go within and meditate and eat better and do Reiki and sit with myself and learn about life and the soul and the spirit and generations and just all of these things that I started to learn, and I felt drawn to, I should say. I took that step into, you know, forgiving my mother and letting it go. I wrote her a letter. I left, you know, every feeling I had in that letter, and I just gave it to her. And from there, you know, I let her know, you are welcome with open arms. I don't have any ill will towards her. I love my mother, and I just want her to be better. So, with that being said, don't hang on to that whole generational curse thing, because it's really just a program that, you know, people implement into your head to make you think that your family is just messed up and y'all will always be this way, and your daddy was like this and your mama like that, and it's all just a plot to keep us in this circulation of generational fuck ups. And excuse my French, but you can heal your family. And I mean, you can heal like generations. You can bend time and you can make it right. And why, you may say, why would it be on me to do that? Because it's you. You were chosen to do it. That's your purpose. And it really heals a lot of people when you do that. When you heal yourself and you forgive and you let go and you just live right and have compassion and empathy for people. So with that being said, generational curses, you know, and again, it could be health, it could be traits, it could be decision making. You may have seen your mother, you know, sleep with a whole bunch of people and be promiscuous, and maybe her mother was like that, or father, or maybe her grandmother or grandfather. Like, you don't have to be that way. You can reprogram and you can recondition your mindset. It can be done. It doesn't have to stick with you. You don't have to use it as an excuse to do the same things because it's been passed down and taught to you. Even with like cigarette smoking and drinking and all drugs, all those bad habits, you don't have to do that. You don't. And when you choose not to, you heal your children and your children's children and their children, and you start a whole new generational timeline. So with that being said, I want you to think about your family, and you can pull yourself away from your family to heal. You can be completely different from your family. You could be the black sheep, so they say. I don't believe in that, but you could be that one to pull away from your family for a minute, to figure everything out. Figure out what's really hurting you, and if you choose to, you can share that with your family. If you choose not to, you can heal yourself for your children. So just think about that. Generational timelines are a thing. They are passed down. When our soul chooses to incarnate in these bodies, we come with a lot already. And remembering who you are is going to be a challenge because you already have a remembrance of your father's traits and your mother's traits. So then you have to reprogram that and think for yourself and become an individual thinker. Okay? We do have conditional mindsets as we're growing up, because your parents are teaching you, even though really children are teaching their parents. It's the other way around, but your parents think they are teaching you, and rather they teach you their traits and how they are or what they think is right or wrong. When you grow up and you become an individual and you heal yourself and you live by love, light, and compassion and empathy, and you just move different and think about your health and your life, everything will come together. So I hope you all like this video. If you have any questions, subscribe, hit me up, let me know. And yeah, that was on my heart. I hope y'all liked it.